From a young age, my dad always used to drink a lot, excessively. It would get to the point where he would be extremely drunk and wouldn't know how to control himself. He couldn't walk himself up the stairs. He would beat me and my sister excessively. He couldn't control himself at all. Another problem was with my older brother as well. My brother used to drink a lot, but I didn't really see much of the effects on him. So I took it upon myself to solve this problem. While attending the church, there was a specific time when they were giving out the blessed oil. So I decided to take it and act out my faith. There was a specific time when I went home and I found a lot of cans of Guinness at home that belonged to my brother. So I decided that I was going to put my faith in action by anointing not all of the cans, that would be ridiculous, but I anointed one of the cans. And funny enough, that was the same can that my brother actually decided to drink. And as he drank it, took a sip of it, he decided that it wasn't for him anymore. For some strange reason, it tasted bitter, it tasted strange to him, so he poured it away. And it wasn't only with that can of beer, but it was with all the other ones as well. So not only did that happen, but my dad actually stopped drinking as well. He used to drink stuff like Baileys, you know, bourbon. He used to drink lots of different types of spirits and whiskey. The reason as to why I anointed him is because I believed that through the power of faith that I had inside of me, and through obviously the intervention of God, that he could take away the desire for my brother to stop drinking. He could take away the desire for him to obviously drink excessively and to obviously drop the addiction once and for all. Today, my brother doesn't drink anymore, neither does my father. And obviously it's had a positive impact on my family, and I'm looking forward to receiving the blessed oil again.
Hello, a very good evening and welcome to Finding Answers. You know, when you make a choice in life, you can't really go back on it, especially when you act on that choice. And as they usually say, hindsight is a wonderful thing, and sometimes you make a decision, you do something, and you later come to find out that it wasn't actually the right decision, that in hindsight you should have done something else. And sometimes decisions have, not sometimes, but they always have repercussions. They always have things attached to them that will affect your life. It's like a ripple effect. And it's like making a wrong turn, right? You're going to have to find a different way to come back to your original route. You're going to have to trace your steps back, but you'll have to do something to make sure that you get to your destination. Actually, I have a video that we prepared that shows you more or less what happens when you do a wrong turn. Actually, I have two videos, but I want to show you this one first. A wrong turn, but without much of a reaction after that. Have a look.
From this video, you can see it was very close at the end of this marathon in Japan. This is at mile 25.99. That's when the front runner took a right. You can see the race official trying to flag him. Didn't work.
Oh, he was following the clock.
No, he lost the lead and the race. He took a wrong turn.
Imagine how gutted he was. He was in first place in a marathon. All of a sudden he takes a wrong turn. I mean, you see his reaction at the end where he just went to the floor. And that's how you feel sometimes when you're doing things so well, things are going so well for you, you're making the right decisions in life, things are flowing, and then all of a sudden you take a wrong turn, you do something wrong, you make a decision you regret, and you feel, my God, what have I done? And how do you react to that? That's where many people fail, right, Michael? Yeah. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening. Thanks, you.
So, wrong turns. I mean, who hasn't made a bad decision, a bad choice in their life? The thing is that there's that ripple effect, and it's how you deal with that really makes a difference in your life.
I would compare that to driving. You know, if you've ever used a sat nav and you've taken the wrong, it has taken you to a wrong place. It doesn't recognize the road. And it kind of goes on and on and on. And then you find you're not at that place. Have you been in that position, James?
Yes, not as much as we see sometimes in the newspapers, people who are following the GPS to go to the countryside and they ended up in another country sometimes. I don't know how that happened, not that much, but I have been more or less in that situation.
So I've been in, the first sat nav that I had, it kind of wasn't picking up the roads correctly. So I ended up in the middle of a field, for example, and like, this is not where the shops are meant to be. And normally on the up-to-date sat navs, there's like a reroute, right? It proceeded, retracks the route, and then you turn back, and then you get back on track. But sometimes people don't have that reroute kind of option, and they still go down that wrong route, thinking it will be okay, everything will be fine, but they end up falling into a pit. They end up crashing like that gentleman, that marathon runner did. But you know, with God, if an inventor can make a machine that allows you to reroute back to get on track, what about God? If you turn to him, if you ask for his help, then he can reroute you back on track to find a solution to your problem.
Yes. But imagine, you know, completing a marathon is already an achievement. Now imagine you're about to win that marathon, like that guy there. I mean, he must have felt terrible. And I imagine this is how many people feel when, you know, their life is going well and they're building up, there's this progress. And then all of a sudden they do something, or they choose to do something that completely and totally brings their life down. And I mean, even if momentarily, it may not bring their life down permanently, but certainly momentarily. And a lot of people don't know how to get back from that. And you know, in life you can't avoid making bad decisions. No matter how, you know, how intelligent and how proactive you are, at some point you're going to make some bad decisions. And maybe you're watching me now and you've made some. Maybe you regret certain things you've done. You regret maybe spending or making a certain investment, right? I remember, Michael, that some time ago, before I was doing the work that I'm doing now, I made an investment, right? I was working and made an investment in a business. And I lost that investment, right? I remember, and it wasn't a lot of money, but I worked hard for that money. But I have to tell you something, I was so upset, so angry. But that same day, I said, I'm not gonna let this put me down. I'm gonna carry on, and I'm gonna keep trying to make this work.
But did you make that investment because the information you were told at that time, you decided to invest?
Yeah, I mean, from the information I got, it seemed perfectly logic and it was gonna work.
So sometimes people beat themselves up because the information that they have at that time, they make a decision, but later on they find out it's the wrong one.
Yeah.
So instead of, you know, beating yourself up as you didn't do, you got up and you kept on going. You know, there's the opportunity for other people as well to make the right choices.
Absolutely.
Later on.
And maybe you're watching me now and you say, James, look, I'm an expert at making bad decisions. I'm an expert at making wrong turns, right? Maybe you did that with, you know, how many people, they get drunk on a night out. And for them, it's an innocent night out getting drunk. Like some people think that's fun. And they do something that night that they regret, and they pay the price for months and years after that. How many people are in prison now because they committed an act of violence while under the influence of alcohol? And that one decision to get drunk in a specific night made you pay the price for something that you regret now. How many people had a stable marriage, you know, wonderful marriage, and because of one lapse of judgment, going out and betraying that person that they were with, today they are paying the price. They want to get the trust of the person they love back, and they can't. They lost that trust. I mean, what did you decide to do? What choice did you make that today, looking back, you regret? And perhaps you cry when you think of that. You feel frustrated. You think, you know, if I could turn back time, and you know you can't. You can't go back, but you can try to fix things. You can try to go and get back on track to certainly get your life in order. So, you know, my advice to you is this. Number one, don't cry over spilt milk because of what you did, of what might have happened. You know, maybe you did choose to do something terrible, it didn't go well, and you're paying the price until now, but you can recover from that. And you'll see that through the story of the person who's in the studio with me that I'll introduce to you after the break. But what I want you to do now is this. If you, at this very moment, you are still struggling with the consequences of choices that you made, of wrong turns that you made, and you say, look, I don't know what else to do. I feel lost, hopeless, I have no direction. If that is your case, then I want you to give us a call, because with the right direction, like you were saying, Michael, right? A person may take a wrong turn with their GPS, but with the right direction, the right rerouting of your life, you can get back on track, and you can make things work. And you know, sometimes, and this has happened to me, the GPS is taking you somewhere which is supposed to be the shortest route. Yeah. But then you make a wrong turn, and it actually happens that the turn you made ends up being the shorter route. Yeah. So sometimes maybe you think, well, now I've messed up, and perhaps you haven't. Perhaps you can still salvage whatever there is there to salvage and make your life even better. So if you say, look, I just need the direction. I need God to help me, to show me how I'm going to repair this damage, what I'm going to do, then give us a call now. 020-7686-6300. 020-7686-6300. As usual, we have a team of people ready to speak to you now, or you can send us an email to help@findinganswers.tv. help@findinganswers.tv. We're going to go into a break. When we come back, we'll be speaking to Alafair. That, you know, there were some wrong turns there, but she managed to get her life back on track with the right guidance. Don't go anywhere.
Life is made up of moments, some good and some bad, both of which make an impact on our lives in one way or another. Usually, it's the bad experiences that mark our lives in a negative way. Some people develop complexes, others get deeply hurt, withdrawn, traumatized, and some can never get past the pain. It's betrayal, divorce, bad news, testing moments, and the unexpected that can cause wounds to our inner souls. And it's these internal conflicts that can prevent true inner peace. And we all know that if our interior isn't healthy, then this will be reflected on our exterior also. But through faith, God can help you reach the hurt that no one else can, and help us to overcome some of the worst moments life throws at us. If you're looking for internal peace and healing, then come and receive the free bottle of holy oil for internal peace on the 1st of June at a UCKG closest to you. Use the oil and receive the strength to overcome your internal battles. For more information, give us a call on 020-7686-6000 or visit our site uckg.org.
Welcome back. Just that number again that we gave to you before the break, 020-7686-6300. That's for you who say, look, I'm lost, made a wrong turn. Actually, that's what happens when you make a wrong turn. You get lost, right? You don't know where you are. But if you find yourself lost right now, you say, look, I don't know where I am. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I feel completely lost. I need some direction. I need to get my life back on track. Then I believe that prayer can be that GPS to get you back on track. And you know, Michael, when you get lost, sometimes it's one of the best things that can happen because you get to know new places. There's a lot of places, shortcuts that I know now how to drive in London that I learned by getting lost.
Yeah.
I don't know if that has happened to you.
Yeah, many times it's happened to me.
Right.
You discover shops, new restaurants and things like that. So it's a learning process. Yeah. If we always stay on the right track all the time, we're going to be like one track minded, but just one turn off, we can learn new different experiences as well.
Yeah, and you know, you shouldn't, when you get lost, it's frustrating, of course, because you're wasting time there, but you do learn about new places, new experiences. I'm not telling you to go and get lost on purpose in life, but what I'm saying is this, you know, yes, maybe you've made a bad decision. Yes, maybe you took a wrong turn, but there's still positives that you can take from that. They usually say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? And that's usually the case with wrong turns. Now, I want to introduce to you Alafair, who's here in the studio with me tonight. How are you, Alafair?
I'm great, thank you.
Right.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Now, tell me something. Has your life always been a sea of roses?
Oh no,
because I can see you wearing a lot of flowers. Tell me something. What were the problems that you encountered earlier before coming to the church? Where did your problem start?
My problem started a year after coming to London. I had a really good job, good paying job. And as time went along, it increasingly demanded of me working every day, Sunday to Sunday. And there was a point where I had enough of working every day. My health was affected. I wasn't sleeping properly. And I made a decision to quit. And quitting without a backup plan, without having any sort of plan. So when I first came to the church, I was unemployed.
Right.
And I found the church by basically walking. I was walking in my neighborhood. It was about 5 months after I left the job. I thought, well, with my qualifications, it would be piece of cake. It would be so easy.
So when you quit that job, you didn't even give it a second thought. You thought, you know, it's going to be easy to get back.
Maximum 3 months, I'll have another job. But on to 5 months, I was still unemployed. My savings had been used because I still continued to live the lifestyle which I had, which was dining out, and and I had a very huge rent and all the bills, you know. So after a few months, I started to feel, you know, overwhelmed with everything.
But you know, I mean, what you did, for example, I think the principle was good because you didn't want your job to control your life, right? But you said you didn't have a backup plan.
Yeah.
Was that the wrong turn? Was that the mistake, you think?
I think yes, not having any sort of goal or plan for my future.
Right.
Yeah. Because I was in a job where I didn't fully enjoy. I did it because it was a means to an end. It paid the bills. Right.
So how was it for someone who one moment had a comfortable life, then all of a sudden you lose that? You lose it because you made a choice, but also, if I'm not mistaken, you're from a different country. You didn't have a lot of family here. Is that right?
Well, I have no family.
No family. Okay.
It was very, very, very tough because most of my family, all my family is back home. So it was quite a difficult moment. I remember going through periods where I would just be crying for nothing, just feeling so low. My mood was down, and I just my way of dealing with the problem was, I guess, not dealing with it properly, not really tackling it. I was just, you know, send my resumes out, go to the job center, find out, different ways in which I can, find out about other agencies and so forth. But apart from that, every time I got a rejection, it just sends me back into that low mood,
Right.
and an anxious feeling, because I'm in London, and living in London is quite expensive. So yes, the worry about the bills, because I've never been in debt, never in my life, and I'm 36 years, never had debt, never had overdraft, don't know that sort of life at all.
So all of a sudden you were thrown into that kind of situation.
Yes, yeah.
Tell me something, how bad did your financial problems become within those 5 months?
It wasn't that bad, I would say, because I didn't go into overdraft. I decided to do it out. I had a one-to-one with my landlord and told her, I don't have a job right now. I came very clean with her and open with her. I let her know my situation. So she allowed me not to pay the rent at the time. But when I did get a job, she would, need her money back.
Of course, yeah.
So of course it's on my brain that I need to pay back this money. I need to earn. So it was a sort of anxiety feeling.
Now, in terms of confidence, what does it do to your confidence when you're looking for jobs? You know you have the qualifications. You know you can do the job, but you keep being told no all the time. What does that do to you?
It is the worst feeling ever. Because you try with your own strength to get a job, and there's so many others who also are applying, but you are just thinking, I need help now, So I tried every day, every single day. I went out. So the little cash that I had was sent, posting and stuff like that. And because I'm not from this country, I'm not allowed to have benefits. So I didn't have any benefits or anything.
So you were completely on your own?
Completely.
Tell me something. Did you ever, at that point, you probably came here. Why did you decide to come to the UK? Is it because you wanted a better life?
Yes, I had a few friends who were here, and they were talking about how the opportunities and how much you can develop in your financial life and your career and studies and stuff like that. And I thought, okay, it would be a good step.
So in that difficult moment, did you ever share with your family what you were going through? Did you tell them, or you?
No, I didn't. I kept a lot of things to myself. I didn't open up to anyone about what I was going through.
So the problem is that you, even though this was very difficult, you were shouldering this by yourself.
Yeah, I did. I had a really serious and difficult time confiding in anyone. I didn't really have much friends to begin with at the time. So a lot of it was just within myself. And it took a lot of guts for me to even tell my landlord my situation. I got up early every morning and dressed like if I was going to work at the beginning, just so that she would have an idea of what was happening, But
so for a while you were pretending that you had a job.
Yeah. Not wanting my landlord to worry that I can't pay the rent for her to put me on the streets. Once I open up to her,
Did you ever regret making that decision of quitting your job while you were in that process?
At the time, I had all sorts of thoughts. I thought about just going back home. Why am I struggling like this? Because I can go home and not have to struggle.
Right.
So there were thoughts, why am I going through all of this now?
Okay. So after the break, you're going to tell us how coming to church helped to change your life, right? Because you were now finding yourself unemployed without being able even to pay your rent, right?
Yeah.
And your confidence probably down to the ground in terms of finding a job because you were getting all these rejections. How many rejections do you think you got in those 5 months?
Oh my word, probably over 40.
Right.
And or some of them I never heard from. They just never responded.
Right. So it was not just a rejection. It was the fact that many of them you didn't even hear from them.
And in the process, I've never lost so much weight.
Right.
I guess it was just the stress. I didn't have the appetite to even eat. So I went down to size 8, which was the slimmest I've ever been in my life.
Okay. All right. So if you find yourself in this situation, maybe And by the way, just going back to your case, Alafair,
Yeah.
I don't think that your decision was a bad one, because you were in a job that paid the bills, but you weren't happy there, right?
Yeah.
So perhaps at some point you would have to make a decision. But during those 5 months, it was tough, and it was difficult. You probably wondered, did I do the right thing, right?
Yeah.
And when you're going through the tough period of making a decision and things are not going well, perhaps you think that, did I do the right thing? And maybe you did. Maybe you did do the right thing. I think you did the right thing, Alafair. Perhaps could have had a backup plan, right? Could have done a little bit better.
Or probably I could have been even more bold to have a one-to-one with my boss at the time to say, okay, working every day is a little too demanding for me. Probably I can just do Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday. But I should have had more courage to speak out at the time.
So, I mean, what you did, the idea behind it was great.
Yeah.
It's just that the plan wasn't 100% foolproof, right?
Yeah.
So if you say, look, right now I'm struggling, I think I made a decision, I did something that didn't quite pay off. It didn't pay off yet, but it can pay off. I want you to remember that. We're going to go into a break. When we come back, we'll hear how Alafair used her faith by coming to the church and learning how to use her faith to change your life. If you want to speak to someone, the number's on the screen. Actually, it's not there on the screen. It is now. They just put it now. And it will be there after the break as well. You can call at any time.
Faith, works, salvation. Man, talk about your polarizing topics. Everyone has an opinion on them. Can we work our way to heaven? Does it just simply take faith? And what is an authentic faith? Well, let's investigate the arithmetic behind these important questions and see how the truth really adds up. Some people believe that works equals salvation. Simply put, this is man's effort to work his way up to God and become acceptable in His sight. This is the view of religion, that lots of good works equals salvation. However, Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 and 9 says, "For it is by grace that you have been saved, through faith, not by works, so that no one can boast." Sounds like something is wrong with our equation. So, let's scratch works and replace it with faith. Surely that's all we need to make our equation correct. Well, we need to tread carefully here. Faith is ultimately what makes us acceptable to God. And we know without faith it is impossible to please God. But this equation is incomplete. James chapter 2 verse 17 says that faith by itself isn't enough. Unless it produces good deeds, it is dead and useless. So, works must be factored into the equation. One popular view of the salvation formula is faith plus works equals salvation. People think that belief in Christ is important, but that salvation is still dependent upon doing enough good with their life. They rightly acknowledge the expectation that works are involved, but they confuse why they're there. It may be subtle, but it's wrong. Why? Well, look at this quick math lesson. We can all agree that 2 plus 3 equals 5. Thus, since this equation is true, it also means that 3 equals 5 minus 2. A true equation holds up regardless of how you move the pieces around. We call them fact families. So let's return to our formula. If faith plus works equals salvation is true, then the formula of faith equals salvation minus works must also be true. And Professor James has already reminded us that this kind of faith just doesn't add up. Let's try this one more time. We are saved by faith. But James does add something to the equation by challenging us with what our faith should look like. It's not that works create our salvation, rather, it's that works should accompany our salvation. That's an authentic faith. Growing in Christ-likeness in such a way that our lives bear the fruit of good works. And yes, I know what you're thinking. If this fact family is true, then faith minus works equals salvation must also be true. So if you have no works, are you saved? Let's just say while we can celebrate God's amazing grace, the expectation of God's Word is that we would see the fruit of your real faith. So while the math adds up, it should bother you that your life does not. The fact is, we are saved by faith alone, but the faith which saves is never alone. Still not sure about all of this? Well, you do the math.
Welcome back. So you heard how a not foolproof plan, perhaps a half good, half bad decision hurt Alafair's life and her future. But you're going to hear now how faith changed everything. So Alafair, when you said you were walking one day and then what happened? You saw the church or someone invited you?
No, well, actually, I was walking along the street. I had just posted my resume to a company, and I was just walking along, and I saw the shop that sell books and gospel CDs.
Right.
And I was just so fascinated by it, and I decided, because I like to read. So I walked in without any money at all to buy a book. I went in asking how much was the price of the books. And the lady in the bookshop, she said to me, she said, "How is your life?" And I said, "It's
just
fine."
like that?
Yeah. And I said, "It's fine." It's perfectly fine.
But it was not fine at all.
Of course it wasn't, you know. And then she said, "You know, we have a church." I was like, "There's a church where?" And she said, "At the back there's a church and you're invited to come." And I said to her, I said, "Okay." I guess it was a bit of false pride in a sense, you know. But I was open enough because within myself I knew that I needed help. And the first day I attended, it happened to be a Monday.
Which is about finances.
Yep.
Right.
And they prayed for me and counseled me after the meeting. That same day, less than an hour after, I had 5 job offers.
Really?
The same day.
So you hadn't had any in 5 months in the same day?
Any, you know, recent correspondence, you know, in a positive light. Everything was rejected or nothing at all. And there it was, same day they prayed for me.
But I just want people at home to know that if you come to church, you might not get 5 job offers in one day or within an hour, right?
Yeah.
That was God giving you a sign. Listen, this could work.
I didn't even take the jobs, as a matter of fact, because from that one session, and they told me about the coming regularly.
The chain of prayer.
Yes, I decided to come, and I decided that I need to have Sundays off, and these jobs were offering for me to work on a Sunday.
It's interesting because you stuck to your guns, right, of what you wanted to do. So you didn't take them. You knew what you wanted.
Yes, and I continuously used my faith. I was making the chain of prayers. I was fasting. I was doing numerous things to you know, build my faith, reading the Word of God and taking things a little bit more seriously. And within a couple months, I got a call from a television producer asking about, you know, they heard about me. I don't know how they heard about me, but they were doing a new television show and they were looking for a presenter. So the first thing I asked, what are the hours, what days? And it all worked out, you know, in terms of the salary, and God just put inside of me that sort of boldness that I didn't have an agent, because they were asking me if I have an agent, and I said no. But when I went to the meeting, I was able to negotiate what I wanted to be paid.
Right. Tell me something. You have been coming to church now for how long?
It's probably about 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
What sort of turn has your life had in those 6 years?
It's a lot of ups and downs I've had, because when I first got the blessing, when I first, you know, doors opened for me, I was really, really strong in the faith, telling all my friends, going out there, really changing my life. My family as well, they saw the differences. And as soon as I went through a really difficult moment, which was my immigration situation where the Home Office had lost my passport, that difficult moment really tested me, because I saw all the testimonies from other persons and what they did. And I was doing my part and I didn't see results, and it took me right back from where I started.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, you must have done something right, because you're still here.
Yeah.
How is your life today, in spite of all the problems you faced and those challenges?
Yeah.
How are things today?
Today has been really a blessing. I've seen the spiritual growth within myself. I've taken things a lot more seriously with the things of God. I've become more active in the church as well, allowing God to use me as well. And I go through my problems, but I'm able to overcome, and I rely on God for His strength to guide me.
Has there been a change also in the person that you were? Like, I don't know, you said that a problem that happened to you before brought you right down, and you shouldn't be like that. It should be that when you face your problems, you keep strong.
Yeah.
Has there been an inner change in you as well, a transformation in the kind of person you were?
I would say so. I think, with friends, sometimes, even though if you're not strong, if your yeses and your nos are not clear, you're easily persuaded. And I think at times I were coming from a culture of carnival, that was like my weakness. So every time there's not a carnival or a carnival back home or wherever, I find that was like my weakness. I would participate, and then go back. So I was like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, not being completely serious. But today, total transformation. And that's what I was praying for, to reach at this point.
Yeah.
So I understand when I speak to other persons who are going through that transformation in their lives, I totally get it, because I've been through those moments.
The Notting Hill Carnival's coming up in a few months.
Yeah.
Are you planning to visit?
No way. It doesn't even bother me now.
Right.
It doesn't.
And I just want to say that, look, we're not saying that when you come to church, you come to God, you become a fanatic.
Yeah.
It's just that, you made a choice to choose the things of faith, to choose what's beneficial for you, what's good for you.
Yeah.
And you don't want to turn back.
No. And it doesn't happen overnight. For some people, they might make, all the changes necessary. But for others, it's a process.
Yeah.
Getting
those 5 job offers happened overnight.
Yeah.
But the change in you, in the person that you are, in your life transformation, that took time, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What's your advice for someone, just before we finish, what's your advice for someone who may be going through some tough times right now? Maybe they made a choice, and like you, it seems like things are really difficult right now. What's your advice for them?
My advice would be not to keep things to yourself. I think that was my problem, where, I found it difficult to open up. There's help available. And the church has definitely helped me in developing my faith and using my faith. So I would say, don't be afraid. Ask for the help. Get the help needed to move forward in your life.
Okay.
And the church definitely.
It helps.
There's a lot of support. There's a lot of support there.
That's great. So Alafair, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And I want to speak to Shannon now. She's going to be reading to us the letter of the day, because every day we have people who email the show, who call the show, and hopefully we can help with some advice. How are you, Shannon?
Fine, thank you.
Do you have the letter of the day?
Yes, we do.
Go ahead.
And our letter of the day is from Manuel. Manuel says, "Hi, I broke up with my girlfriend about 6 months ago. It was a 2-year relationship and we lived together. At the time, I felt like I was letting her down as a boyfriend, and my counselor at the time advised me to break up with her, which I now knew was wrong. I was out of work and depressed because I was playing video games for up to 18 hours a day. Thankfully, I've now given up video games and seen my whole life in a different way. I have contact with my ex since we split up, but she's reluctant. I've explained where I went wrong and how I'm manning up to my problems instead of hiding from them with the video games. She gets very emotional and even told me she wants me back in her life, but all we can be is friends for now. I thank God she even talks to me. I made terrible mistakes in my life, but I'm changing now and desperately want to get back with her. I love her. What do you think I should do?
Well, first of all, saying I desperately want to get back to her, it's a strong word, desperate, right? And getting back to her may not solve all your problems. So, and you know, if you've made a mistake and taken a wrong turn, and the person who loves you or who loved you and you love her lost trust in you, you may not be able to get that trust back straight away. Especially not by saying, look, I've stopped playing video games. Sometimes it takes you showing that you have changed. And that takes time, you know. For people to notice a negative change in you, it's very quick. But for them to notice something positively changing in you, it does take time. And my advice to you is, if you are changing for the better, don't change for her. Because if you are changing for her, she, you know, the moment that she doesn't notice the change in you, you'll give up. Right? If you're changing for yourself, then whether she takes you back or not, your life carries on, and you will carry on with your life. You'll be happy, you'll be successful. So make this change happen for you, not for her. And don't worry, eventually, whether she does get back to you or not, she will see that change. Right? It may be that when she does choose to get back to you or to contact you, you've already moved on. But whether she gets back to you or not, you have nothing to lose if you change for yourself. So bear that in mind, okay? We're gonna go into a break now. When we come back, we'll be here ready to make the prayer on your behalf. Prepare your glass with water, any glass of water that you have there, because when you drink this water, through the power of prayer, we're gonna ask God to give you the direction that you need. If Alafair came to church and with that first initial prayer, God already gave her signs that He was with her, even though she didn't take those jobs, God can give you a sign that He's with you as well by giving you an idea of how to make a wrong turn become a right one. We'll be right back.
People normally think that there's no greater influence as powerful as Hollywood, but I beg to differ because Godlywood is really making its mark in the world. Now, for those of you that don't know, Godlywood is an initiative aiming to lead women of all ages to become exemplary women of God. We teach women how to make a positive impact in their own lives and their families through monthly tasks and meetings. And one of the great things about Godlywood as well is that we also learn to be giving, so we go out and help our communities. And one of the ways we do that in the UK through regular visits to elderly homes to pamper them and to keep them company. We also have regular events to help abused women, and we have many more plans to help our community. I ended up overcoming lots of insecurities and bad habits, and I've grown so much. And one of the things that I finally beat was the shyness that I had, and I'm doing things that I never ever imagined that I would be doing. And we have many more plans to help our community. So to summarize everything, Godlywood really changes lives, and I'm so privileged to be a part of it.
The Bible contains the mind of God, the state of man, the way of salvation, the doom of sinners, and the happiness of believers. Its doctrines are holy, its precepts are binding, its stories are true, and its decisions are immutable. Read it to be wise, believe it to be safe, and practice it to be holy. It contains light to direct you, food to support you, and comfort to cheer you. It is the traveler's map, the pilgrim's staff, the pilot's compass, the soldier's sword, and the Christian's charter. Here, paradise is restored, heaven opened, and the gates of hell disclosed. Christ is its grand subject, our good the design, and the glory of God its end. It should fill the memory, rule the heart, and guide the feet. Read it slowly, frequently, and prayerfully. It is a mine of wealth, health to the soul, and a river of pleasure. It involves the highest responsibility, will reward the greatest labor, and will condemn all who trifle with its sacred contents. Pray it in, read it through, live it out, and pass it on.
This is your UCKG timetable. We are open 7 days a week, helping you to make a new beginning. Mondays, a meeting focused on achieving more in your financial life. Tuesdays, prayers for healing. Wednesdays, a meeting teaching you to develop in your spiritual life. Thursdays, a special prayer for the family. Friday, a service for your spiritual deliverance. Saturdays, Find the One, a service specifically tailored for your love life. Sundays, Reconnect with God, the main meeting for your spiritual strength.
Welcome back. Earlier in the show, we showed you what an effect of a wrong turn can have in a marathon runner. Here's what someone who doesn't quit and doesn't give up can still do, even if he makes a wrong turn. Have a look.
Still, there are some runners at the back of the pack who aren't even up to the big group yet. And the cannon goes and the marathon is underway. The 25th running of the New York City Marathon has begun. You can see how rough and physical it can get. Runners of all ages, they go up to 86 years of age in this field.
Give it to me. Now this is okay, to share water with another guy who's running for the same prize that you are. And it's a great act of sportsmanship.
Again, number 10 is Herman Silva, and number 24 is Benjamin Paredes, both of Mexico, and leading the way right now in the New York City Marathon. Huge crowds here on Central Park South. All the bleachers are filled. They probably have been for hours.
Dan, put me on.
Larry Rawson, what happened?
There was an opening into Central Park, and Silva took a right. down there. Paredes knew to go straight where all the spectators were, and Silva just maybe had a little mental lapse, didn't realize that the road was straight ahead, and he took a right into Central Park.
This is what happened moments ago. Silva is the one on the left. He makes the turn, then stops, realizes he lost his teammate, and now here is the final few steps for Paredes of Mexico. Maury, this is absolutely horrible.
There's no such thing as a routine victory. Paredes is trying to make the most of this moment.
He has made up a tremendous amount of the time. We thought for a moment this could be one of the closest finishes in the history of the marathon.
He didn't panic. He didn't immediately try and make up the distance. You saw him make that turn very slowly. He didn't panic. But once he got back up to Paredes, Paredes was saving something.
And now Silva pushing past Paredes, and now he's trying to make a move, but he's grimacing. It looks as though he may be running out at this critical time of the marathon. Benjamin Paredes of Mexico looked as though he was handed the championship, but instead, the younger Herman Silva of Mexico will win it. Unofficially, the time, 2:11:20, an amazing final 6/7 of a mile in the New York City Marathon.
How awesome is that, right? Took a wrong turn in the last stretch of the marathon. I mean, the guy was knackered, running at that pace for 2 hours. I was talking to you, right, Michael?
Yeah.
Running. I can run for 2 hours, but certainly nowhere near that pace. That's crazy. And still, he made up the lost time and won the marathon. I mean, look, it's how we said at the beginning. Wrong turns, bad decisions are a fact of life. But it is always possible to turn things around. And if you want, let's talk to God now for Him to give you the strength, motivation, and direction that is needed for you to turn the wrong into a right. Prepare your glass with water. Let's talk to God now.
Prepare now for the moment of prayer. If you would like a prayer concerning your financial life, send your name and prayer request to prayer@findinganswers.tv.
My Lord, in the name of the Lord Jesus, it is great to talk to you because we know that you have a grand vision of the scheme of things, because our eyes, our own vision can only see so far. But you, my God, you see the whole journey of our marathon. So you see that perhaps this person has made a bad decision, like this young man who emailed us earlier. You see also that maybe this person regrets certain things that they have done. But certainly, my God, you know that it's possible to reroute their life back into a right path, a right direction. And that's what I ask you to do, my God. I ask you that through the power of this prayer, you bring direction, my Lord, that just like water can wash clean any dirt, that you may wash away the lack of motivation, the lack of strength. Perhaps this person was clouded in their judgment as to what they would do in the future with their marriage, with their career, with even perhaps living in this country. But in the name of the Lord Jesus, when they drink of this water, you will give them the direction that is necessary. I consecrate this water in the name of the Father, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. You may now drink of this water. Welcome back. Thank God I have no complexes about my height. Otherwise, I would have problems here next to Alafair. But, you know, you can only work with what you have, and it may seem like a wrong turn, but it can become the right turn. Remember that no matter how bad things are, the power of God can still change your life for the future. Join us again tomorrow at the same time. Until then, have a wonderful night. May God bless you.